Hi everyone, good to be back with you. If you can't tell, I'm recording this on Ash Wednesday and hoping and praying that you have a blessed Ash Wednesday too, that you're able to use this day as we enter our Lenten journey, preparing for Easter, to prepare your heart and mind. I pray that today is an opportunity to reflect that from dust we came, we are nothing without the breath of life of Jesus filling us, and that one day because of our sin to dust we will return. And yet we put the ashes and the sign of a cross on our forehead, right? Because the death of Jesus means that from the dust one day we too will rise just as he rose from the grave. So hope you're having a blessed day today. But I want to talk to you about our reading through the Bible, really. We're coming up to two new sections, and I just wanted to address those with you. First, we're going to be beginning a new section of Proverbs that starts in chapter 10. And beginning in chapter 10 is what we typically think of when we think of the Proverbs, these short little proverbial saying, one or two liners telling you what to do and often what not to do. Up to this point in the book of Proverbs, first 9 chapters, we've kind of heard an exposition about the benefits of wisdom, and we're being warned about foolishness, generally speaking. But here in Proverbs 10, we're going to start to get the proverbial sayings, this collection of wisdom literature. And the thing about wisdom literature, and this is true of the Proverbs, is that you gain wisdom from it, but you also need wisdom to read it, which seems a little circular. But let me just give you one example of this, of why you need wisdom. So this is Proverbs 26, verses 4 and 5. And this is what it says. This is a perfect example of the short little one or two liners that I'm talking about. It says, "Do not answer a fool according to his folly, or you yourself will be just like him." Okay, there's some wisdom, right? Don't engage with a foolish person because they're not going to change. They're foolish. And so if you engage with them, you're just going to end up as foolish as they are, right? You're going to get into some big argument that's not even worth having, and you're going to sound an awful lot like that foolish person. This is great advice that I think we would be well to heed with the big election coming up this fall, right? Don't engage with a foolish person. But this is what goes on to say. "Answer a fool according to his folly, or he will be wise in his own eyes." Okay, so now which one is it? First, in verse 4, we heard don't engage with a foolish person because you'll end up just as foolish as they are. It's not worth your time. But here we see, answer a fool according to his folly. Do engage with them, or they will be wise in their own eyes. Look, if you don't engage the foolish person, they're going to stay foolish. But we don't want that, right? We want them to change and to hear wisdom. So yes, answer a fool. Now here's where wisdom is required, to read wisdom literature, right? There is a time to answer a foolish person, but there's also a time when not to. And I can't tell you when that is, right? It's circumstantial, but it takes wisdom to discern that, when to answer and when to not. Just wanted to bring that up to you. That's just one example. Not all of the Proverbs are like that by any means, but you'll encounter a few in that. And just encourage you, even as you grow in wisdom, to approach these Proverbs with wisdom. So this is a new section we're going to begin in Proverbs chapter 10 that'll take us through much of the rest of the book. But we're also beginning a new book of the Bible in the coming days, and that is the book of Leviticus. Leviticus has been described by some as kind of a technical priestly handbook, right? Lots of rules and regulations on how to do different rituals and sacrifices within the tabernacle. And so this is a place where many people tend to get bogged down in the Bible. And in fact, this is maybe where most people give up as they're reading through the Bible in a year. And so first, I just want to say, please keep on going. Don't give up. It might not always read like a great novel, but I think it is important. And the truth is that Leviticus is part of a larger story. Right? We believe that the Bible is one big unified story. It's really all about Jesus, and that is true of Leviticus, right? It's not just some priestly handbook stuck in the middle of an otherwise exciting story. It is also telling a story. And here's why I say that. So the end of Exodus 40, the end of the book of Exodus, which we'll get to in just a little bit, this is how it ends. Exodus 40:34. It says, "Then the cloud covered the tent of meeting, and the glory of the Lord filled the tabernacle." Now, this is what was supposed to happen, what everyone was hoping for, right? They'd build this tent according to God's plan, and that God actually descends and fills the space, right? And God is ready to commune with his people again, just like he did back in the Garden of Eden, right? As God's people continually pushed him away, here he is drawing near to them. That's verse 34, but this is what it goes on to say. Moses could not enter the tent of meeting because the cloud had settled on it and the glory of the Lord filled the tabernacle. So God shows up, but then his people, not even Moses, can enter in. This is a problem. This is a crisis that has entered into the story. God in all of his glory descends, but because he's so glorious and his people are not, they're not able to meet with him. It's called the tent of meeting, but they're not able to meet with him. This is a problem, right? In fact, a huge crisis if you're one of these people, right? What do you do now? How do you get yourself ready to enter the presence of God? Well, this is what Leviticus is going to tell us. So that was the end of the book of Leviticus, of Exodus. But this is how Leviticus begins. It says, "The Lord called to Moses and spoke to him from the tent of the meeting." So the glory of the Lord descends upon it. Moses can't go in because God is too glorious. So what does God do? He speaks to Moses from the tent, and he starts to tell him about how he will draw near to his people, how he's going to cleanse them and purify them, the sacrifices they need to make, all of these things. And so Leviticus is God speaking from the tent to Moses so that, once again, he can commune with his people. And that's an important part of the story. It resolves some crisis and some tension that the story has now presented to us. Now, maybe we'll talk as we go on, because there's some other great little bits throughout the book. It's not all just rules and regulations, although those are important to read too. But again, it's the story of God finding communion once again with his people. Well, again, I hope that you are being blessed by your time in the Bible. Please keep on going. It is all worth it, I promise. And again, hope that you're having a blessed Ash Wednesday. I will see you next time.